Class, welcome to week 6, legal and tax week. I find this week very thrilling. Some students do not, and that's okay. We're going to go over some essential information for your business this week, information that I think will be extremely helpful. First, we will talk about the different legal structures available to you as a business owner and what might work best for you. And then we'll talk through licenses and taxes briefly. Just a reminder, your project 2 is due this week. If you have not started on that, please do so as soon as possible. That's similar to project 1 in that it's quite involved. So we'll start with legal structure. For this assignment, you will write a brief essay and talk about what legal structure is best for you, why, and how you would set it up. To find out about legal structures, we're going to go to hg.org and talk through some of those structures. This is applicable to those residing in the United States. If you are outside of the United States, go ahead and search for your country's business legal structures. I would imagine most are similar in structure to the ones we'll go over here. So we'll actually go to hg.org, and I'm not going to go through all of these. The hg.org gives a fairly comprehensive list of structures. We'll talk about sole proprietorships, partnerships, and LLCs, which are really the most common types of structure. A sole proprietorship is an organizational structure where you own your business. You are the sole decision maker, and everything rolls up under you. The advantage is that there's a lot of control over the business this way. The one disadvantage, and we'll talk a little bit about risk later on with limited liability corporations or LLC, is that the sole proprietorship does not protect your personal assets. And so a lot of people will form a limited liability corporation to protect, kind of separate out their personal monies from the company's monies. The sole proprietorship does not do that quite as easily. It's all viewed as sort of one pot, if you will. And so if there happened to be a lawsuit, then the majority or all of that pot is at risk. So there's a control and a risk trade-off in these. But sole proprietorship is extremely common, the most common, it says here, and really usually doesn't require much to set one up. A partnership is very similar to a sole proprietorship, except that there are 2 or more people, and you can decide internally who has what control of what. And but it's again typically very easy to set up. Same structure as the sole proprietorship. Those partners are the sole decision makers, and so a lot of control. But again, there is that risk. We won't go into C and S corporations. There are tax benefits to those. A limited liability company, that's another very common form of business, and what that does is establishes your company and separates out the personal assets from the company's assets, and basically tells the world that if there is a lawsuit filed against a limited liability corporation, there is, as the name would imply, limited liability, meaning if someone decides to sue the company, the only thing they could obtain is assets that that pertain solely to that company. So some business owners find an extra bit of protection in that. As you start a very small business or a brand new business, you will still have control under a limited liability corporation or limited liability company. As it grows, however, there has to be a board of directors, and the board will have some control. And so as the company grows, there is some sacrifice of control excuse me, in an LLC. We won't go into nonprofits; they're a little bit more complicated to set up, also with tax benefits. But there's got to be an underlying community or community benefit or a benefit to the country. So if you're more than welcome to set up a nonprofit or others. A CNS Corp as well. We won't go into detail, but if that suits you, you can set up any type of structure you'd like. But those are the basics, the basic business structures that will help you out a bit. And that will be your legal structure assignment. You'll have, of course, a discussion board on that piece. And then we'll jump into licenses and taxes. For this assignment, I wish we could just go through it and give you a list and say, here's what you need to have proper licenses and to be set up in case there are taxes for your business. However, it is very specific to your locale, no matter where you are in the world. And so what we'll do for this assignment is ask you to research your specific city, state, territory, country, and walk through what licenses are required to operate a business in your area of the world, and what taxes you would be responsible for. And from there, you will explain if you need any license, which licenses are needed, how you came to that conclusion, and then this is the key one that is sometimes missed. Provide references, typically URLs, to that information. We just want to see where that information came from. And if it's from a website, that's great. Just need a URL reference. I'll tell you, typically local government websites are usually the best. Most governments are incentivized. They want you to bring your business there so that they can increase their tax revenue. And so there's a lot of, for the most part, most locales are very try and be very business friendly and make this information easy to find because they want you to establish a business there. And that is about it for legal week, for legal structure and licenses and taxes. If you're struggling with any of that, please reach out. I'd be happy to provide some guidance. Again, you'll have your of course, I should say, you'll have your weekly reflection at the end of the week. And that will do it for week 6.